Hey, what's happening? Welcome to Maych TV. So, Liverpool are Premier League champions. The season is done and dusted. The players have gone away on a 2-week break. And of course, what does it all really mean? Does it mean we take a break and we switch off and we don't talk about football and we find new hobbies? No, don't be fucking stupid. It's all about transfers, baby. It's all about transfers. I mean, I am going away on a break, but I thought before I left you for a little bit, I would talk about transfers because Neil Jones from Goal, good mate of mine, put a tweet out saying that Liverpool had a number of players who were, effectively up for sale. We already know that Adam Lallana's gone to Brighton. Degsy Lovren has gone to Zenit. Yes, he's gone. It's fine. That's the most important thing. Sorry, Degsy. For £10.9 million. It looks like Shaqiri's on a list of players, Harry Wilson, Grujic and a bunch of other bits and pieces players that we've seen go out on loan in recent times. Now, fine, yeah, and Jurgen Klopp's also said, I don't know if you're speaking to the Athletic or speaking to the Echo or just speaking in general, maybe he was just shouting it to the sky on his wandering round Formby, that Liverpool aren't knocked going into the transfer market. They're just going to see how things kind of lie a little bit. And look, when you see Manchester City putting £41 million bids in for Nathan Ake, who was a very good centre-half, by the way, is he worth £41 million given that the club he plays for have just been relegated to the Championship in this current climate? No, he's not. But, look, I'll talk about that in a second. The thing about it is, from Liverpool's perspective, we thought a few weeks ago that Liverpool weren't going to do any business whatsoever. They might yet do no business whatsoever, but I do think that a prudent approach is probably quite a smart way to go about things at the moment. The line coming out of Liverpool at the moment is such that we don't know what the restart of Champions League is going to look like. What does that mean? What does that mean for the finances at Liverpool? Yes, Liverpool have made as much money pretty much as you can make from their football endeavours over the last 3 seasons. Champions League final they won, winning the Premier League. Class, absolutely class. What they have been doing as well is, well, for a start, they've not been selling big name players, which is normally a really good way to bolster your coffers. Look at Chelsea, selling Eden Hazard and getting a massive cash injection as a result of it, because that's the way it works. How much you bought a player for is irrelevant because there's a thing called amortization, which means you buy a player and you divide the value of that player over the length of their contract, which means that by the time you get towards the end of that contract, and if you can get more than what you paid for them, it's basically clear profit. I can't be asked to go into it now, but just trust me on that. That's very, very, very loosely idiot's guide on how transfers work for football club finances. Liverpool haven't really sold anyone significant since Felipe Coutinho, and we know that it's been costing Liverpool about £3 million a match to have games played behind closed doors. That's match day revenues that are being lost. That's the cost of getting people in the ground, of all the drinks and all the bits and pieces I guess they buy. I'm probably not actually counting about the lot of stuff that wasn't made in the club stores during that period when they were just shut, and for all the casual foot traffic of people going down to Anfield and just buying a shirt or a scarf or whatever. Most football clubs would be in this boat, but I can only speak from Liverpool's perspective. So look, Liverpool are not necessarily in quite as healthy a financial situation as they could be, and I really think Liverpool was set to go big this summer. Really, really do, because we talk about building from a position of strength. I've talked about this before on this channel. I talked about it last summer. I thought last summer was a great chance to do it. We won the Champions League. Our building from a position of power saw us let Mignolet go, bring in Adrian as a replacement, which was technically a downgrade. We brought Harvey Elliott in, for a nominal fee from Fulham, and we brought Sepp Vandenberg in for next to nothing. And then in January we bought Takumi Minamino, minimal outlay again, considering that Liverpool probably made 90 odd million from the Champions League run. This summer, I understand that it falls on deaf ears when you say that football clubs are poor, when you go, well, you've got multi-millionaire owners and they should just throw some cash in. Maybe they should. Maybe they should do. I don't know. But the approach that's gotten Liverpool to where they are is this one. It's to spend within your means. It's to generate your own income and spend what you can. And also, most importantly, to keep all of your best players along the way. It's no surprise that Firmino, Mane and Salah are probably on, if they're not on double what they started on, I would be surprised. And that's where a lot of your money goes. And again, we don't like to hear it, but there's a reason there's a slider bar on Football Manager that lets you divvy your budget up between wage budget and transfer budget. They're part and parcel of the same things, the cost of having players in your squad. And what Liverpool have done, how Liverpool have made themselves the best team in the world, is to make sure that Mo Salah and Sadio Mane et al. Don't go, you know what, it's fine here, but I could be earning loads more money playing for Real Madrid or Manchester City, etc. So what do Liverpool do in this window? Look, if Shaqiri's going to go, well, so let's start from the top. Lovren's gone, so I think we probably need a senior centre-half to drop into that pack, because I don't think Vandenberg's ready yet. Yeah, I think we probably need cover for left-back, ideally, but I'm not sure that we're going to go out and buy a specialist left back. Although that being said, because there's a history of Klopp not liking specialists, he likes utility players. And it's a reason Andy Robertson, when we first bought him, you know, I know he had to adapt to the way the team plays, but the games he didn't even make the substitutes bench, and that's because there was never normally space. Now, you're allowed a couple extra substitutes, but I believe they're keeping the 5 from 9 rule going into next season. So there's actually a chance that we might have room on the bench for another specialist fullback, which means that a left back actually might be the right time to go and get someone else who can do that. Because I don't think the likes of Adam Lewis, etc. below are quite ready, and it would be, I guess the idea is probably Milner and Nico Williams as the fullback cover, which is okay. I think Williams, the more game you can get, fine. But I think it's a big ask to ask him to cover at left back, as we saw against Brighton. He's a fine right back. It might take a bit more to get him to be a decent left back. So again, this is what I would do, by the way. I'm not saying this is exactly what we do. And I've heard loads of people going on about Jamal Lewis at Norwich. Fine, just do it. Just go and get him. Again, Man City are in danger of absolutely cocking this up. You're meant to be able to extract value from football clubs that have been relegated. And I think genuinely, just as a side note on this, if City didn't need to pay £41 million for Nathan Ake, they didn't need to. If they'd waited a few weeks, I think they'd have got him. You could have potentially got him for 20 to 25, but you might have also ended up in a potential bidding war with a Manchester United or a Chelsea or a Liverpool. You never know, and that actually could end. You could end up paying 40-something million and have lost 2 or 3 weeks of training with the guy in a very, very truncated space of time before the new season starts. So I get what City have done. I think it's a bit daft, because once again, I think they'll have contributed to inflating the market, but it is what it is. Anyway, so Lallana's gone. I think Curtis Jones just comes in and takes Lallana's minutes, if I'm perfectly honest. You know, he had a handful of appearances this season, did really well, scored a few goals as well. He's got a massive ceiling, that kid, in terms of his talent. Really, really, really good. I think, yeah, I would just say you can effectively double his minutes on the pitch next season by just giving him Lallana's minutes. I think I'll be fine. I think Oxlade-Chamberlain, I think people forget that this was his first season back after that long-term injury. I know he came back in at the back end of last season, but this has been his first real run at it, and he's been used in a bit more of a bit part role, which I think might change once the season restarts, because it's going to be quite thick and fast from the first week, really. Obviously, you've got that international break before the season kicks off. The season kicks off then in the Charity Shield is like the 29th of August or something, before the season kicks off 2 weeks later. So there's a lot of football to be played. Oxlade-Chamberlain, I think we'll get plenty more minutes out of him this season and have a better role. There's more minutes hopefully to come from Naby Keita, etc. So I think we're quite well stocked in midfield, unless for some reason we let Wijnaldum go, which I think would be madness. Up front, where the real issues I think for Liverpool lie here, there's nothing better out there than what we've got in terms of the front three. There might be players who are as good as the players we've got in the front three, and there's no guarantee they necessarily suit our style of play, which is always our biggest issue. But then you've got, Minamino, Origi, and then obviously Shaqiri. If Shaqiri's being let go, which I think is a shame, but there's, whether fitness or attitude or whatever, a combination of the above, he's not getting on the pitch enough for us. So there's kind of no point paying his wages. You might as well. You could probably get, if you've got 10 million from Lovren, you've probably cleared 100. You've probably got about 200 grand back in the wage budget from Lovren and Lallana. If you can sell on Shaqiri, Grujic, Harry Wilson, you're probably raising another 30 to 40 million, and all of a sudden you've got a bit of wedge there to maybe go and get someone who can have a positive impact on that front three. Not a true world beater, and we'll be gutted that we didn't do this before I think Werner moved to Chelsea, because look, he could prove to be steal of the century, but I think given the climate at the time, I don't think Liverpool could have made that move, especially not at the price that in terms of wages what Chelsea threw at him in the end. So the only other slight answer to this, again, is Ryan Brewster. A 1-2 record for Swansea in the Championship and the playoffs. Scored another fantastic goal in their defeat in the Championship playoffs, second leg the other night. real talent. I think he would have been more involved this season. If he'd had senior minutes prior to his injuries, I think we would have used him this year, but he was one who very much needed to go out and just test himself at senior level, and he's done that, and I think he's come through with flying colours. Is he ready to be the next great Liverpool forward? Might be, it's probably a bit soon, but can we get more out of him? I think we can. And then you beg the question then of what's Origi doing? I think we've got all whatever going to get out of Origi. Does that mean he has to go? I don't think it does. I think you can get, even if you only get another season similar to this, he's able to come in. He can drop into 2 or 3 positions. You know, he can play centre forward, even though he doesn't suit us as that type of centre forward. He can play left wing. His output's quite good, actually, relatively speaking, from the left wing in terms of goals and assists. And he can score goals in big games. If you're up the wall, you do a lot worse than throw someone as good as Divock Origi in. But I think we are starting to see the best. I think we've had the best we're ever going to get from him. It might be a law of diminishing returns, but if you can't get, I think you could get. I think he's a 15+ goal a season centre forward. If you give him 40 games, how much is that worth? 40, 50, 60 million? I mean, he's playing in the Premier League, so maybe slightly more than that. Who knows? There's a lot of money, and I don't think we're going to get that money. So it might be worth keeping Divock one more season. But for me, personally, if I was going to do absolutely anything, there's maybe a chat about another backup goalie. I don't really know how to solve that problem. I think we need one more great player for the front three, and I would be prepared to turn around to FSG and say, look, I know it goes against our model so far, and I know it's a tricky situation. It's hard to predict where the money's coming from, but if you could go out and break the bank and bring in a Jadon Sancho, for example, I think that safeguards Liverpool's future, not just for this season, but let's say in a year's time when one of Mo or Mané just goes, quite fancy a new challenge. You don't want to replace a player of that calibre in the same window that you're releasing them. That's been Liverpool's biggest failing for so many years. I don't know whether it is Sancho. Sancho will probably end up at a Manchester United or a Man City. Oh, the pet doesn't like him, does he? He won't go back to Man City. But I'd like to see him come to Liverpool. I don't necessarily say it's him. You know, you've got the likes of Bailey, etc., playing in the Bundesliga. But someone for me with lightning pace who can score goals to go into the front three. I think Minamino could prove to be very useful this season now that he's finally going to be bedded in. I think Brewster's got loads more to come from him. But I think we're one more short. I think we're one really good guy to play from the left-hand side to just, you know, to understudy, properly understudy Mané and Salah, and where you're not seeing a tremendous drop, which unfortunately you are with Shaqiri and Origi. That for me is what I would do. And look, if you can get hold of a Thiago Alcantara, if you can, do it. Why wouldn't you do it? Just do it. Just adding that little bit of extra quality, adding a winner and adding experience to replace the experience that you've lost in Lallana and Lovren in that squad, and potentially Milner as well, would be invaluable. Because the thing that's worth doing, as much as Liverpool can succeed without signings, our young players are going to be better. We're going to get more out of the really young players, the Elliots, the Curtis Joneses, the Nico Williams. Our young established players like Gomez and Trent are about to start hitting their prime, and Trent not even for a couple of years. Our senior world-class players have still got years left at the absolute top, at the absolute peak of their powers. They're right in the middle of their prime years. So there's no pressing need for Liverpool to go big, but there is something to just refreshing the message. I don't think going too many windows without adding fresh blood is a good thing to do. I think bringing in someone like Alcantara, who's got a massive skill set, loads of experience, who can show his medals as well to the lads and go, yeah, look, this is what I've won, automatically earn the respect of the people around him, and maybe bring a trick and flick to that they've not seen before to a squad that's already seen a hell of a lot. I think that might be the difference for Liverpool. But if they don't, they'll probably be fine, because let's face it, a lot of us thought we weren't going to be fine last year, and we pissed the league with 7 games to go. So yeah, who knows? We'd all be happy with signings, but we'll all make do amend if we don't, I reckon, anyway. Listen, I'm off now for a few weeks. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video. If you want to support what I do, go to patreon.com/Maych, or just watch the redmentv.com and sign up there as well. I've got an interview with Jordan Henderson going out on the website there very, very shortly. Loads of content over on the Redmen YouTube channels and website to keep you all entertained throughout the summer with the mighty top of the world, top of England, champions of Evident Red, and my book will hopefully be out soon in the coming weeks as well for this season, so keep your eyes peeled for all that. Nice one, guys. Have a good summer. Ta-ra.